Welcome back. Former President Donald Trump again threatening in recent days to be a no-show at the first primary debate in Milwaukee. Trump going after Fox News this time, the debate's host, in a Truth Social post. And now NBC News reporting he's even considering scheduling a counter-event.
This is Marquette Law School is out with a new Wisconsin poll among Wisconsin Republicans and independents who lean Republican, a near-even divide. 31% saying they support former President Trump, 30% backing Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and 21% haven't decided.
Charles Franklin is the Marquette Law School poll director. He joins us now. Charles, like always, good to see you.
Good to be here.
Let's start with these GOP numbers. What do we make of this at this moment in time?
Well, it's surprisingly close between Trump and DeSantis. Trump has been leading DeSantis in national polls by quite a bit, typically around 50% to DeSantis in the 20s. So a 31-30 divide here is very, very close, the best polling we've seen for DeSantis in a while. It's also striking that 18% name one of the other GOP candidates and 21% undecided. When we push those folks, then DeSantis takes the lead over Trump, and it's because DeSantis then picks up 75% of those who are backing another Republican, and he picks up 65% of the undecided. So, I think what you're seeing here is Trump's base is still very strong, but maybe it's not quite as large here in Wisconsin as the national polling might have led you to believe.
There's a lot of attention focused now on this first primary debate in Milwaukee in August. Does it matter whether Trump shows up or not?
Oh, I think it does. I think that having him on the stage, he's the center of this circus of the campaign. Having him stay away, which he did back in 2016. He skipped a debate during that period. I think in one sense it focuses attention on the other folks and lets them get in their points without Trump sucking up all the oxygen in the debate. On the other hand, certainly having all of the candidates participating is something the party would like, and I think all the other candidates want Donald Trump there to talk.
I want to look at the hypothetical head-to-heads. You asked if the elections were held today. A Biden-DeSantis matchup is close, 49% Biden, 47% DeSantis. A Biden-Trump matchup, Biden 52% and Trump 43%. A pretty big gap in those two scenarios. What do you make of that?
Yeah, that's one of the more interesting findings. Now, we would be shocked if any race in Wisconsin was decided by 9 points. But the reason you get that difference is both candidates hold their party bases almost perfectly in the mid 90% loyalty. But independents are leaning a little bit to Biden against DeSantis, but they swing heavily to Biden if Trump is the nominee. And you remember, within the party, Trump's strength is overwhelming, but to win in the national general election or Wisconsin's general election, Trump's going to need some of those independents, and so does DeSantis. But right now, DeSantis is more attractive to those independents, Trump much less so. Also, remember, we were in the field just after the Trump indictment hit. That may have helped him with Republicans. It's not clear that it helped him with independents.
Charles, as we sit here this weekend, the state budget is now in the hands of Governor Tony Evers. We're coming off this budget battle, the shared revenue debate, and the agreement. The governor's approval rating jumped up to 57% from 46% in October before the election. What's behind this?
Yeah, that puts him up to approval ratings that he hasn't seen since 2020 or so. So a real big bump. I think, first of all, successful reelection. He won by 3.5 points. That's got to be good for a governor's image. But I think the other thing is that the budget debate this spring was very intense and, not a whole lot of love and hugs from everybody. But in the end, on the big things, on schools and on shared revenue, according to our poll, both of those packages ought to be pretty popular with voters. Voters strongly back the shared revenue increases, and they're very favorable to deals that both increase vouchers and public school funding, and that was the deal there. Nobody's completely happy with either of those packages, but I think you could almost say it was politics as normal with a hard negotiation, and both sides got some of what they wanted.
Marquette Law School poll director Charles Franklin. Charles, like always, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Up next, the final act.
Summerfest longtime CEO on his final festival, the new behind-the-scenes insight on the increasing competition to book the big gigs.